Thursday night, Neil Atkinson back, pleased. Dan, Damian and Mick all with us. And Damian, pleased because you got to see something that looked like a Liverpool performance, at least in patches, and you also got to see something I'm into in football, which is just loads of fellas defending for their lives late on. We haven't had to do a lot of, we probably should have done more of that than we actually have, if we're honest about it. But we, you know, as a club, we've not felt like we've had to do that much of that for 4 or 5 years in a number of ways. I love it when a game gets to that point, and I love the end of it against Wolves on Tuesday.
It's absolutely what we needed. It was a steady and small step in the right direction, and we need a massive step on Saturday, don't we? But the game itself, you know, the couple of changes you think that they made them weak enough. I've got to say as well, by the way, I think the opposition and the venue were in our favour. Yeah. And sometimes you need something to be in your favour to get yourself going. I don't think they were up to much, and they allowed us to press them from the start, get after it, and all of a sudden there's a game on.
And Molyneux's weirdly a ground that seems to suit us. I don't know quite why, but there's something about Molyneux that does seem to suit us.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what it is. I mean, in the past when we've been really aggressive and fast, the atmosphere, you know, would be intense, and then that we'd thrive on it. But it wasn't that the other night, was it? And the players just acted like they should do, and it just looked like Liverpool. I don't want to get too carried away about it, but that was more like business as usual, even though it completely has been unusual business for us. They were working for each other up the front, and as the game wore on later and Wolves were understandably throwing things, there was defenders in positions they should be, clearing balls that they should be, without making a howler. And it looked like a team effort, do you know what I mean? It did, and so, you know, I don't think we deserved to win by a lot of goals, but we clearly deserved to win, and it can only breed confidence. So I wasn't particularly overly enthusiastic before the game started, but as it was halfway through, I was very enthusiastic and really wanted it to win. It was good. It was a good evening. It was a good night for Liverpool.
It felt to me, Mick, like one where the nature of the scorer, the nature of the goal to an extent, but the nature of the scorer, I think there's one thing that seems really clear. Firstly, that Harvey Elliott is a very sound young man, but secondly, that he's much loved by his coaches and by his teammates. And I think it felt to me like there was almost an added frisson of, we're making sure Harvey scored the winner here. We're not messing around. This will be this out. We're going to see this out because this is going to be massive for all of us, but it's going to be massive for him as well. We're making sure of that, and maybe at times you can just impose your own reality on things. But that's what I really felt Liverpool were like as well.
Yeah, I think it was one of them. Like, he carried it so far. It was like the Alonso against Luton moment where you're like, oh, fucking hell, don't shoot. I'll get in. Like one of them. So, I mean, yeah, amazing strike, to be fair. And didn't he score one like a couple of years ago for the youth team, like an overhead as well against at Molyneux? So it was one of them. Like, he's got a good record scoring belters at the Molyneux. Yeah, fair play to him. And he put it in the work. You seen at the end of the game when he was on the floor, the camera straight over to him like he was on the deck. He was absolutely goose. So fair play to him for putting in the work, and in a slightly different position, not right centre midfield, on the right wing, on the wing. So
his best position.
Yeah. Look, it looks like, and I mean, we don't know what it is at the moment. Is he going to be a 10? Is he going to be a right winger? Is he going to be a midfielder? We don't know. He's still young, but quality's there. He matched it with the intensity as well in his performance, which was boss to see.
It was so demoralising at Brighton. So any sort of win was going to feel like, oh, at least that happened. But also them looking like a football team, looking a bit serious, Dan, and looking utterly determined. You know, they didn't have to play the football from the gods. They just needed to look utterly determined, and not as though anyone could just wander around them at any time.
But Brighton was one of, it might be the most miserable I've ever seen a Liverpool team look, and it was from before kick-off as well. I was thinking about it a couple of days afterwards. I'd noticed it at the time, but then it just kind of passed my mind that when they do the handshake and then all run to the end where the away end is, and there's usually a big clap and a bit of a come on in there was just no energy about any of them. And it actually, I know that's not the game, but in hindsight it was a bit of a tone setter. There wasn't very much from the away end either, to be quite honest. And then the whole match they just looked utterly miserable, like they didn't believe anything that good was going to happen at any stage. And then as soon as they started playing at Molyneux the other night, you know, the shape was better and the midfield was better and yada yada, but the main thing to me was that they just looked like they weren't playing with loads of fear or pressure on them. It was just, well, we're a bit of a ragtag bunch of people that's been selected here. It's not an 11 that before the season started you would ever have presumed would play a game for Liverpool. Let's just see how we get on. Let's just do what we can. Let's all try and play individually well. Let's all back each other and back each other up when we're pressing or when we're moving forward and whatever. And it just looked like they were playing without all of the worries that a lot of the senior consistent players have had. I know the likes of Elliott, for example, have played loads of games, but they've not been very often at the scene of the worst crimes that the Liverpool have committed so far this season. And that felt like the massive thing, not necessarily a huge tactical shift, not necessarily, it wasn't like the new signing, for example, was the one that you were looking at going, oh, hasn't he revolutionised the way Liverpool are playing or anything like that. It wasn't so much the kind of practical level stuff like that. It was more just a group of players playing without fear and with a bit of belief in themselves, and that isn't necessarily enough to kind of get you through the rest of the season, to get everyone thinking, oh well, Liverpool can go on some sort of mad run now where they win loads of games or whatever. But it is a genuinely significant improvement on what was going before, and it might sound quite fundamental and basic, but I think the manager used the word basic after Brighton, with those were the things that they needed to be doing, and the fact that the attitude and the sheer demeanour of the footballers playing for Liverpool was different. That was the main thing that from the very start I quite enjoyed watching and thought, all right, this is something now that they can build upon.
YouTube, press the button, become a member of the Anfield Wrap from the heart of the city of Liverpool. The best way to enjoy all your Liverpool-based videos, everything you need, every single day. It is the Anfield Wrap.